So let's make today a little bit more of a trek south towards a certain American barbell. Yeah, they know what they're freaking doing down there. That's one thing where I'm a little jealous of anybody who's coast side, right? Be it West Coast or East Coast, much higher concentration of like badass gyms over there. And that's not to say there's no crazy gyms inland America, right? That would be just simply be wrong. But at least for around where I'm at, not as many insane places. Because anytime I catch myself on either one of those sides, I got like pick of the litter between like Gold's gyms and powerhouses and old metros and all sorts of stuff. But this one's pretty cool, close by. They're about to do a really huge expansion, like more weights, more basketball space, more all sorts of stuff. But that's a little ways away. It takes a long time to get that sort of shit in order. But on a more related note to what's going to go down with arms. Yeah, keep it classic, man. Push downs, curls of a few varieties. And then with triceps, I know that they have a plate-loaded dip machine that I'm pretty excited to use. Usually I catch myself just doing the same, like a Life Fitness, like the dip machine that's always at a Planet Fitness. And that one's good. Like, honestly, it works out pretty well, especially for being a stack-loaded machine in more of a, like, commercial style. Usually those aren't so awesome all the time. Right? Like usually I'd want to lean towards like a hammer strength or whatever. But they do work pretty well. But this plate loaded one is cool, and especially cool because it's got a certain strength curve to it. Because it's not simply picking the weights up directly. It's sort of spinning them around this little point of rotation. So what that does is it makes it a bit heavier at the heavier at the top and a little bit lighter at the bottom, so you can really get yourself into a good stretch position without having to worry about getting stuck or like not being able to get the rep back up or anything. But you still have a lot of difficulty at the bottom end of really flexing, because obviously it's extra heavy. Some machines kind of, I feel, lose a little bit of value because they get too light at the top. Like any machine that has a specific strength curve like that, they almost take it a bit too far, and then it's way too light at the top, and you're kind of missing out on like a really hard squeeze. But that's, maybe some guys love a machine like that. Usually for me, it makes me a little bit less likely to throw it into my workouts again. But apart from that, same shit as normal. I'm trying to hit a couple of different check marks in terms of the exercise style. So obviously, excuse me, this gym's kind of far of a drive, so I haven't drank my pre-workout yet. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so triceps first. I want some kind of regular push down, be it a rope or an easy bar or something like that. Something overhead, which usually all my overhead stuff comes from like overhead cable work. It just kind of feels the most natural for me. And then and then some kind of dip, like that dip machine I just kind of referenced. Buys, I almost have a bit more creative freedom. Some days I'll just do only like alternating dumbbell curls in front of the rack. Maybe do a couple light ones, a couple heavy ones, sort of play off it like that by ear, and it ends up being sweet. But other times I might try to get a bit more technical, do a bit more like preacher work or single arm concentration stuff. But one thing which I'm definitely going to throw in is some seated concentration curls with assisted reps. So that'll be, a 50, maybe a 60 or something, kind of hunched over, 10 reps, 12 reps of my own strength. And once I get to a point where I'm not really getting past that bottom range of motion, where it's a little bit lighter and I can't really even do a full rep anymore, then that's my cue. Use my other hand, help pull the dumbbell up to the top, and then, not only do I get a bit of like squeeze, but I'm sorry. But I also get to ride the negative in a way which you never really feel when you do a regular set. Because if I were to do a set of 50s to failure in a regular like standing style, one after the other, then what's going to give out is not my ability to lower the weight in a controlled manner. What gives out is my ability to even raise the weight up at all in the first place. So it completely like shuts down the rest of the set, which you might actually have room and energy for to make it a bit more intense. And usually I would say it's more intense, more stimulating, more gains inducing, you know, it just kind of goes on. So that's where having somebody help you with some assisted reps, assisted only on the concentric, and then you have to ride the negative down yourself, right, under your own power. Usually that's something which I like adding in. Maybe not so much now that I'm dieting down. The intensity I can bring from just a regular set on my own is usually enough, but you are missing out. Oh, guys, you are missing out if you don't get some self-assistance or some other self-assistance, right? Have somebody else help you. So, 35 minutes of cardio complete at a little bit of a higher pace than I was normally doing. I was really getting into it. So I wonder if that combined with only having 60 grams of carbs so far might be making me a little more yawnish, but not in the usual way. It's almost like it's like you would I'd say in general my energy levels when I'm dieting down much more constant, much more stable. And part of that is just due to the fact that my blood sugar isn't all over the place and my stomach isn't constantly digesting like tons of food, literally as much food as it can basically handle. But I am definitely running on slightly lower energy levels than when I'm bulked up. So you might think, oh, when you're bulked up, you might be a little bit more energetic. Not exactly the case, because then you get a little bit extra sleepy because you're in like a growth state, like a freaking baby. So you're either eating food or feeling sleepy. But either way, by the time I actually roll into the gym, even if it was extra late and I was like legitimately fatigued, tired, like ready for bed, no, don't let that stop you, man, right? Just because you got back late from whatever you were doing that day, even if you might feel a little bit on the sleepier side of things, dude, by the time you've drank your pre-workout, you've gotten excited about the workout, not to say workout twice, you've gone to the gym, even if by the time you walk into the doors, you're not totally feeling 100%. By the time you start doing your warm-ups and even your first working set, by then you should be in the fucking zone, you know. So that's I'm a little bit better about that now. I haven't had a like late night into the AM workout for a while, and that's a good thing for me. Keeps my sleep schedule a bit more regular. But either way, let's get ready to throw some weight around in a controlled fashion. Get a crazy ass fucking arm pump. No need to go crazy. Light squeezing rope extensions. 1 second, even like a 2-second hold when I'm fresh, and then start from here. I was even about to start to try to go heavier, but it's like not even 80, or not even the full stack, like just 80 pounds. It just didn't feel like it was clicking as much. So in exchange for going a little lighter, I can get a really crazy hard squeeze. Because with the rope, I mean, I've kind of changed my approach over time. Because now instead of just trying to do as much weight as fucking possible, I want to use the right amount of weight where it's hard, but I can still really squeeze at the bottom and build fatigue throughout the set instead of just, you know, throwing shit around. Okay.
Yeah. I think one more like that, then move on to something else. Okay. All right. Let's go do some dips next. So, even though I could do 4 plates, it started to make my butt come off the seat. Like I'm not, like physically, I'm not heavy enough to counteract it. A seatbelt would be nice, but maybe that's just a good cue for me to not use my ego so much. And let's just make this a 3-plate set. And this dip machine, simple, but pretty much fucking perfect. I mean, it's like an old school pec deck. It's just, even though it's a little more grungy by design, I think that's how they're supposed to be. But real deep stretch, like I don't want to do any of these fucking half reps and then a crazy hard squeeze. So basically, same execution style as the rope before. Okay. One more. Okay. All right. Those were good. Let's move on to something else. Not sure what exactly yet. Some overhead easy bar will be perfect. And then I can really pick whatever the fuck I want. Did the regular pushdowns, did the dip style movement. Now this will put me at overhead. So really, after this, it's just whatever I think is gonna pump my triceps up the most. Okay. Yeah. One more just like that. Oh, yeah, okay. Woo. Like time for at least, well, could just be one set of crossbody extensions. Then time for curls. Okay. Let's go curl something again, David. Try this down. 65s feels like the limit. Any heavier would be too heavy, and any lighter would be too light. Yeah, okay. All right, one more, and I might swing a little bit on this next one, get a few extra reps. But that was pretty good. 0 swinging set. Okay, that's good. Oh my God. No. Okay. All right. Let's pick something a little bit more machine-like. I think that was good for some free weight starter sets, though. Usually not the biggest preacher fan, but I do like this one. Not too heavy, not too light either. 25 felt just a little on the light side, so I had to walk to the other side of the gym to the free weight section, grab a 5. But perfect weight. Let's go crazy on the right side, match reps on the left, because my left bicep's a little bit bigger than the right one. Actually, I think it just has a slightly more aesthetic insertion, but it just makes it look bigger, so I want the right one to get a little bit extra work. So let's pick let's get Dragula going. Oh yeah. Holy crap. One more, but just at 25. It's freaking 5 pounds is too much. Okay. Ooh. That was good. I think let's move on to maybe something cable related. I'll think about it. My plan with these curls in particular is to get an absolutely insane squeeze and really feel this outer portion, right? As I think we're all aware, you can't specifically shape a muscle by hitting it in some kind of way. I'm not suddenly gonna completely get rid of my little gap between my bicep insertion and this little length of tendon before it reaches my forearm to look more like Arnold's bicep insertions. All I can do is make it bigger. But in the spirit of trying to hit everything, even though, I mean, sure, it's still my bicep. Like if you were to attach electrodes, you probably wouldn't see insanely different activation values, but you would a little. So for me, when I do this straight bar curl and really tuck my elbows together in front of me and pull like this, rather than just feel my whole bicep kind of in its entirety, at least specifically in the squeeze, I get a lot of this kind of outer portion, almost as if I was doing a, like a rope curl, and you're pulling in and almost out like that. But that's kind of what I'm imagining here. And with that mental cue in mind, all I've got to do is make sure I go abso-freaking-lutely crazy. In a good way, in a good way. Oh my God, okay. One more like that. A little heavy and with a slightly shorter hold at the top. Okay. Let's make that a drop set. Okay. Ooh. Okay. I'm not sure what I want to do next now. Heavy dumbbell, more light controlled preachers, and then now a solid set of cable curls. Let me think about it. Honestly, that might have been it, but give me a few seconds to decide. I want to do whatever is going to get me the most pumped. So if that's right here where I'm at, or adding one more working set so be it. But let me think for a second. This will be the finisher. I'm talking 10 or so reps of pushdowns, 10 or so reps of rope curls, alternating until fully pumped. So the weight is not too crazy here. This is only 100 pounds, well within reason. Okay. A little lighter on that one. Okay. Okay. Oh my God. That was a very good example of pumping out reps in a very legit sense. But I am fully pumped. Let's find the freakiest lighting possible. See how arms look. Putting me at that. Day 50, I think. There's a 49. Whatever. Right in the craziest fucking lighting of the gym. Fully pumped. It simply does not get better than this. Holy crap. So, I feel pretty pumped, but I think I'm gonna look much more pumped. Because frankly, I'm not so full of carbs right now. Like, I'm not just bursting over with muscle glycogen. So what that kind of means is I've got the freak factor, but most of it is coming from just leanness and, you know, difference of ratios of like bicep to elbow joint or whatever else. But no more explaining. Let's just see if we can let it speak for itself. No. All right. Well, arms more than thrash. Let's pack this shit up. Yeah, I am starving. The energy in here is fucking nuts, though. I almost feel like it's like if you go to the same gym long enough and then you go somewhere totally new, it's like the energy just hits you twice as fucking hard. But either way, let's get in the car. Arms all down.
Okay, now, you tell me, you be the judge. I feel like I might be a little bit biased. I was there in person, but I'd say that was a pretty solid arm pump, especially for having only eaten about, I think, give me a second to kind of remember. I know I had a good chunk of carbs from a bagel with some unsalted butter. 50 grams, 52 grams to be exact of carbs, and then about 12 of fat total. Of course, the butter was weighed out on a scale, right? I'm not just doing a guessing game here with that. But other than that, yeah, basically zilch, you know? More than enough fluids, partially coming from some kind of electrolyte packet style stuff, the zero sugar versions, as well as just a bunch of zero sugar aspartame flavored diet root beer, which frankly, I don't understand the hate. I really cannot wrap my head around the hate for the diet soda, you know? Look, I'm not saying this is an absolute health boost, but compared to regular consumption of full sugar soda, like the amount of effects that's going to have on your insulin levels and your blood sugar and your insulin sensitivity and everything else, dude, let's just say the diet soda is most certainly a good pick. You know, of course, some people are going to say it gives them headaches. I think that's just, you're not drinking any electrolytes, you know? If you don't have any electrolytes and you're legitimately just dehydrated, then yeah, man, you're going to get reasonably frequent headaches, you know? So all that's to say is if you're dieting down and you want a little something sweet, dude, go for the diet Fago, right? Go for the diet, what's it called? Go for the diet mug, right? Some shit like that. I'm telling you, legit boost to your sweetness per 0 calorie kind of rate. But no, that was a good one. And that arm day basically hit everything I wanted to hit every different kind of way. I would have, I probably should have grabbed like a 45 pound plate or something and like put it on my lap so that I could, I just realized I gotta type in my directions here. But so that I could know, or so that I wouldn't get like picked up off the seat when I was doing those dips. But apart from that, I mean, it was pretty much perfect, you know. Overhead extensions with the with that easy bar, sweet. Rope extensions, lighter than normal, but still very squeeze focused, sweet. And then that well, just focusing in on triceps, that superset of the tries with the rope curls at the end, that was a really good finisher, kind of pumping a bunch of extra blood into the area that may not have been there before. I mean, I know my triceps were a little bit extra pumped after that than they were, which part of the reason for that was just when I posed down, I wanted them to be fully pumped. But even apart from that, even apart from the superficial reasonings of just wanting to pose down fully pumped, that ended up being a good finisher for sure. So now all I gotta do, go home, slam some food, and do not go over my calorie limit, which for today is not gonna be too tricky because I've only had about 900 calories so far. It's 645. So that's one thing that is gonna help you if you get into dieting down. It's not necessarily, you know, a question of making sure you eat all this, you know, chicken, rice, and broccoli. It's what it really comes down to is if you have a calorie deficit goal that you're aiming for, be it 2,000, be it you know, 2,500, however many it has to be to put you in a steady fat loss state, then you have to just eat at a rate throughout the day, which leads you to eating all of that food by the end of the night, so that you can go to bed without feeling like you have to get up and go eat something from the fridge. You know, I'm never gonna cheat on my diet, you know, like, you know, go over my calorie deficit at breakfast or at lunch, right? Meals numbered 1 and 2, those aren't the tricky part. Where it gets tricky is later in the night. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. I was supposed to only eat 2,200 calories today, but for some reason, I've already eaten all of them. Or no, I ate all of them at 6 o'clock p.m. So I haven't eaten anything for like 5 hours. What are the odds that that guy is just going to go to bed hungry instead of, you know, trying to sort of deal with himself? And I don't mean deal, I mean like make a deal with himself and say like, hey, well, a couple Pringles won't hurt. I'll just have 1 scoop of ice cream. You know, I'll just, I'll just have a couple pieces of toast. You know, just like whatever. Especially if you've got snacks in the fridge. I mean, that may as well be a freaking death sentence to your calorie deficit goals. So that's where, if you save up some calories throughout the day, you know, maybe it's you don't have a huge breakfast or just skip breakfast entirely, which I do not mind doing, kind of not like in a fasting kind of way, but just shortening my eating window throughout the day, to the point where, okay, I can have a moderately sized 600 calorie lunch, and then I can have a pretty big 600 calorie pre-workout meal at like 3, and then I go work out, I come back home, I'm not even about to eat till like 6. Okay, I can have another pretty big 600 calorie meal, and then it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, maybe either just have like a big 700 calorie dinner or something, or just kind of snack on stuff throughout the night. Still track my protein, calories, fats, carbs, everything else. Make sure that I end up hitting my goals. I think I'm at like 70 grams of fats, 150 of carbs, and 250 of protein. Like, I want to make sure that I don't exceed those markers before I go to sleep, but I want to have enough before I go to bed so that I can eat something reasonably substantial and not feel the urge to want to get up and go eat something, because that is when most calorie deficits turn into calorie surpluses in an unintentional fucking fashion, right? So it depends on the person. Maybe you don't have a problem going to bed hungry, and when you wake up, you are just like a fucking fiend and you gotta eat something right then. I guess you're the complete opposite of me, because I do not mind skipping breakfast. It does not bother me to save my first meal until today, first meal was at 1 o'clock. Now, I did my cardio a little bit later, so it's not necessarily exactly saying when all my meals were eaten, but just saving them for later ended up working for me better. So now I get to go home, have I'm still smart about it. Like, I'm not going to have 500 grams of carbs of rice or something, but I can have a meal which is basically as big as I want, to the point where it'll make me feel full, but still be on track for not exceeding my calorie limits. And that is the one differentiating factor that I'm changing right now versus 4 months ago when I was bulking up, where, okay, now I am legitimately getting leaner on a day-by-day basis. Now, day by day, not very noticeable, but like week by week, 2 weeks by 2 weeks, I can see pretty noticeable changes. And it's not magic. It's simply making sure that I don't exceed my calorie intake to maintain a deficit. So it's just an if-then, right? I mean, all of working out it's reasonably, well, not exactly, right? Some guys are going to have crazier genetics than others. But for the most part, for 95% of everybody, it's simply a question of, okay, if I train hard, if I get good rest, if I drink my water, and if I hit my calorie goals for the day, be it bulking up or cutting down, then I will be on track towards the goals that I want. So if your if then, or if your if isn't where it should be, if I lift maybe 3 times a week, only when my friends go, or else I don't really want to, and if most of my fluids throughout the day come from 2 monsters in the morning and then maybe a Gatorade with lunch, and then if I get 4 hours of sleep on average, then you're probably not going to get the gains that you would probably like to, but it's not a question of just wanting, right? It's simply doing and then seeing the results that follow. So that's where having more of a long-term mindset with it is going to help you, because you don't really get much out of these lifts on a lift by lift basis, right? By the time you've done one lift, you're the same dude you were before. You might be a little more tired now, but you're still the same guy. By the time you've done 4 lifts, same shit. But by the time you've done 300, by the time you've done 1,000, compared to where you were in the beginning, depending on your starting position, you could become completely unrecognizable. But it took you 1,000 times. It took you 3 fucking years. So it's for those who are not so privy to the delayed gratification of working out or really anything, they're gonna have a trickier time. They'll be a little more likely to say, "Yeah, I don't really feel like working out. I just don't feel like working out." I guess you do feel like missing out. Frankly, the fact that gym was only that busy is discouraging me, right? There should be more people in there. More people should be fucking grinding, But now I'm just saying random ass mumbo jumbo. So, Post-workout meal, probably just do some ground beef that I've already got cooked in a Tupperware. Might even do a ramen pack. Haven't had one of those for a little while, which is not suddenly going to make me gain fat. That's simply me eating 50 grams of carbs and 14 grams of fats, you know? Regardless of the source, that caloric value isn't really changing. Now, obviously, the effect that like your blood sugar and your insulin is going to have from like 50 grams of carbs worth of like sweet potato or a yam or something versus like a bag of Skittles, yes, that is very different. You're totally going to thrash your gut biome if all you're eating is like hyper kind of processed sweets with zero fiber. Right? Don't think I don't know that. But, you know, if for whatever reason you got 50 grams of carbs left, it's your last meal of the night, and you're really saying, okay, I would love a treat right now. If you can just eat that 50 grams of carbs worth of whatever that treat may be, you know, maybe weigh out a couple grams of ice cream from the tub or something, you can still be on track for your fat loss goals and quench your sweet tooth at the same fucking time. You know, now of course you can't have that all the time, but sometimes, you know, it's never off the table if you get reasonably good at you know, macro tracking and making sure you're counting all your calories and shit, which I don't think I'll ever stop saying. I'll probably, out of everything I say, that and cardio, those are never going away. So I've got legs tomorrow. I'll make sure I get a good night's rest before, and I think that's all I got, man. So I'll see you then.